Awesome.
Awesome. So it's recording. Excellent. So good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, depending where you are, everyone. Thank you so much for attending this webinar together with Pedro Prete. Pedro all the way from Argentina. Pedro is the CTO of Think and Dev, and previously spent some time working with the team over at RSK. So he knows the platform pretty well. Today is around the token Bridge and Uniswap. Fairly practical session, and also plenty of opportunity for everyone to ask questions. Just want to mention a few housekeeping rules here. You have the opportunity to be able to unmute yourself during the workshop. I trust that everybody will be well behaved, so please only unmute yourself if you have a question, so that we don't have any background noise in the recording. It will take roughly around about an hour for the actual workshop, but we do have an additional half an hour on top of that, should we have questions during the workshop or afterwards. And then we will be sharing the recording in a few days' time. Yeah, so I think that's really it from my end, and hopefully this workshop will also help some of the teams that are working on a project where they might be able to utilize some of the learnings taken from this workshop today. And feel free to reach out to Pedro directly. He is on the post-COVID hack Slack channel, just added him on there. And then, and also Pedro will be sharing the slides with us shortly after the session. So thank you very much for coming to do this webinar, Pedro.
Thank you, Anton. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really happy to show this. I have had a couple of questions lately about this, so it's great to share a video and do a presentation about it. So what we will be seeing is the token bridge that allows us to cross ERC20 tokens from Ethereum to RSK. What to do with it once we cross the tokens on the other side. So let's start. So what's the token bridge? Well, as I said before, what it allows us is to move ERC20 tokens between RSK and Ethereum, and we can send tokens to the bridge and receive it on the other chain on the same address. This is really important. It has to be exactly the same address. I said the other way around. You will receive it in exactly the same address that you send it. So you need to be very careful from where are you sending. So you cannot send it from contracts, and if you're sending it from a wallet, make sure you know your 12 ports, and or use a wallet that has RSK integration and the same derivation path, so you end up with the same address. Otherwise, what it may happen to you is that you cross the tokens, but you don't find it on the other your other wallet because they don't have the same address. This solution uses smart contracts on both chains and a decentralized application to connect both of them and to interact with the user, and oracles that are listening to both chains and send the events that they receive on one side and send it to the other one. So for those of you that aren't familiar with what is an ERC20, ERC20 are a smart contract that follows a standard for issuing tokens. The tokens are crypto assets that can be traded and usually have a value associated with them. There are assets that don't support the ERC20 standard. For example, Bitcoin and Ethereum. They are the asset from the blockchain itself. So in order, if you wanted to cross Ethereum Ethers to the RSK network, you will have to route them into wrapped Ether, that is the ERC20 representation of an Ether, before crossing it. So make sure that the things that you want to cross are ERC20 compatible. That's really important. Most of you already know ERC20, but just to give you some examples, you have DAI, Chainlink, TrueUSD, the Rift token, USD coin, and Tether. Most of these are stable coins because, you know, DeFi is so hot right now. So you will see a lot of those in a lot of solutions. So that's why I mentioned it, but you can cross any other tokens. We're currently supporting, for example, crossing Flix, that is a token that is used to pay for a video service using the blockchain. The platform is Flix. They were interested in using the bridge because as Ethereum prices went up really, they got really high. So they wanted smaller fees and easier to pay for the users. As it's crazy that you have to pay like $40 or $30 for a transaction just to see a video that it will cost you, I don't know, $2. So we're seeing a lot of applications trying to migrate from Ethereum to other networks because of this high gas price. So how to use it? This will be more like the prerequisites. Some of them were already on the invitation, but in case you don't have it, we'll go through it. You need a wallet. You can use MetaMask. I usually recommend Nifty Wallet because it has RSK built in, but usually, but in the latest version, it's a bit buggy. So feel free to use any of those. Even if you use Nifty and it comes with RSK, you need to set up the RSK network as a custom node. This is to maintain the same address in both chains. This is important, otherwise you will see a different address for each. Then we will need the faucets that will give us some tokens and some gas so we can play around on testnet. You know, on mainnet, all the things I'm going to show are on testnet because it's free and because it's faster, but you can do everything that I'm going to show you on mainnet, so don't worry about that. So I give you the Rift token faucet and the faucet for to get our BTCs and the Covan chain link faucet to get link tokens. So that we're going to cross those and some F on Covan, or you might have it as key. And there are two faucets there. The one that uses GitHub that will give you 1 Ether, or you can ask them on Gitter and it will give them 3 Ether. So let's start with the presentation. So what we're gonna do first is, we're gonna ask for keys. We're gonna make sure that we're on the Covan network, and we're gonna apply for some F in the Covan network to get it. Usually faucets will ask you for the address or to sign a transaction depending on what you're using. So that will send me some keys, and then I'm gonna use the chain link Covan faucet. This is gonna give me some link tokens so I can cross it. You will find that there are a lot of captchas in faucets involved. This is to avoid the denial of service attacks and whatnot, as they are giving. I mean, it's free, but it's not actual money. But you want to anybody be able to do this and not one person to store all the funds. Okay, so they will send me the link. And also for you who want to know how to use DAI, well, DAI in Covan, you will see that there is not just one DAI token in testnet, there are like a bunch of them. So if you try to cross DAI, you may end up wondering which one is the one that uses the bridge, because you have a faucet on Aave and on Compound, and there are many others. So the one that I'm using is the MCD portal. That's on staging. You can Google that up. And the way to acquire DAI is exactly the same that you would do on mainnet. That is putting ETH as collateral and then getting back DAI. I have already done this, but I'm just mentioning in case you want to cross DAI using the bridge. So once you got all of your things together, I forgot you need to have the addresses of the tokens. to see the amount of the balances. So for I already added the DAI address, but let's go with the token bridge. Okay, so we have our tokens and we have our gas. So the first thing we need to do is to connect our wallet. The token bridge will go start from the wallet that we are connected in using Nifty or MetaMask. Know that I'm using testnet-tokenbridge.rsk.com, but if you're going to use mainnet, it's the same, but without the testnet. Okay, so let's connect the wallet. You will see here that you have do you need help link. This will send you to Gither. So if you have any questions about the token bridge, feel free to ask them. If not, let's continue with the presentation. So you select the tokens. These are the tokens that are currently available on testnet. And the list of tokens from testnet and mainnet may differ. Some tokens are on mainnet but don't have a representation on testnet. And some of the tokens that have been whitelisted on testnet are not yet ready to be crossed on mainnet. So check that before starting a project that you want to go live. And so let's cross some dice, right? So if you see, I can send the maximum amount of DAI that I already have, or just, set a number. The token bridge is currently charging a 0.2% fee. So that's why you will see that if you want to send 100 DAIs, you will get a 0.2 DAI fee that you will pay, and a total cost of 100.2 DAIs. And we will receive the RCOP DAI. This sounds strange. On mainnet it shows RDAI, but on testnet is RCOP in case we want to add in the future other Ethereum testnets, again RSK testnet. As you may know, Ethereum has not just Koban, it has Rinky, Gorley, and Ropstein. So there are a bunch of them. Okay. If you scroll down, you will see the list of tokens that you can cross. This also depends on the network. So if you're on testnet, you will see the ones on testnet. If you're on mainnet, you will see the ones on mainnet. And you have the pair. So if, for example, you want to cross, that's our case, DAI to RSK, you will get RCOP DAI. And this can be exchanged for either way. You can exchange RCOP DAI for DAI or DAI for RCOP DAI. And also you have things like DOC, which is a stablecoin on RSK that you can cross to Ethereum, and you will get EDOC. For everything that crosses from RSK to Ethereum, we will add ANI. As RSK only has one testnet, there's no need to put any extra letters to identify. So let's start. Once we hit convert tokens, we'll get a pop-up with the transaction, and we need to confirm this. The first one is to approve the token bridge to cross the DAI. Approve the DAI contract for the token bridge to use it. And the second one will be for telling the bridge to cross those DAIs that we already approved to the RSK network. Once we submit this, it will take a while when it gets mined. But once it gets mined, then, once the transaction is finished and we receive the confirmation, we need to wait 5 minutes in testnet and about an hour on mainnet before checking it on the other side. This is made to prevent any kind of attacks or blockchain reorgs that could revert the transaction. On mainnet, those are 120 blocks that are waited before seeing it on the other side, and on testnet there are 12 blocks. That's why the number for 5 minutes or 1 hour. Okay, while we wait, I will show you a bit on what is expected to see on the other side. To change from what we're seeing here from Ethereum to Koban, we will need to change from RSK Koban to RSK. This is why I told you earlier that even though you can check my address, right? 9C95. But if I go here to RSK testnet, you see that my address is D10D. This is because of the derivation path that is used on RSK testnet is different than the one on Ethereum. So in order to use the same one, you need to set it as a custom node. I already done this. You can put here the RPC URL, and you can find it on internet. It's public /node, sorry. Public node at rsk.com. The other one is public node testnet rsk. So if I use this one, you will see that I have the same address that I had on Koban. So check that out before crossing anything. So make sure you have exactly the same address. The other thing is, well, I need to add this address to my wallet in order to see when I receive the tokens, right? So you can do that by adding it as a custom node. Or the other way around is most of the tokens that are listed on Token Bridge are already added on Nifty. So if you write DAI on testnet, you will see that DAI stablecoin or COBDAI is listed there. So I have to wait until I get those. Okay. And you can see that the contract on RSK has been verified, so you can check the code and whatnot. Okay, so let's explain a bit on the internals of this. And then we will check back in 5 minutes to see if we got the tokens. So here are the links that I was using, and the instructions are on the developer portal from RSK, the Token Bridge guide on tools, under tools. So some limitations. For security reasons, you can cross up to 10,000 tokens per transaction. The minimum amount that you can cross is 1 token, and there's a maximum daily limit of 1,000 tokens. These are governed by a multi-sig wallet. In the future, they will be governed by a decentralized organization. But if we start to see more traffic and as the platform gets more mature, you will probably see this incremented. So, which tokens can I cross? You saw a list on the decentralized application, right? Well, you cannot let any ERC20 cross because there are some malicious ERC20 tokens. So you need to have a whitelist or some kind of list that says, okay, you can cross this safely. So currently, this list is governed by the same one, the same multi-sig that's currently setting the limits. But the list is the same as the decentralized application. So if you see that it's listed on the app, then you're good to go. And so the internals, how this works, right? Okay, so essentially what you do is you're a user and you call the ERC20 token. You approve the bridge to use the tokens, then you call the bridge. The bridge locks the ERC20 tokens on the side of the chain when you started the transaction, and then emits an event that is heard by the federators, which are off-chain oracles that are listening to both chains, and take that event, they validate them, and then they submit it on the other chain to the federation contract. The federation contract checks that all the parameters are okay, and once it has a majority of votes from the federators, then it sends the transaction to the bridge. The bridge if it's the bridge on the other side, it will mint the tokens, and it will be able to use it by the user. If it goes the other way around, it will be the same, but the difference is instead of minting the tokens and locking them, it will burn the tokens, and it will release the tokens that were locked. This way, we're always keeping the same amount of tokens on both sides. So, the Federator Oracle. A lot of people criticize this approach, but the truth is that it's being used by most of the Ethereum solutions that I've seen. I mean, it's the same that it uses WBTC, Rendian, Bancor is using them. So the important thing is that even though it's a bit, I mean, it's not fully decentralized because you have to trust not in one person, but in a group of persons that are running these scenarios. So it's hard to collude, but there's the possibility. So RSK is planning on transforming the token bridge to a fully decentralized bridge in the near future. They have done a proof of concept about it. There's the link of the GitHub repository. And there is a white paper about it called the Smart Hawk that Sergio Lerner made. So going back to but what we currently have now is a federation made out of federated oracles on both chains. So the federation, as I previously said, is the one that resent the event emitted by the contracts on the other side, and they are also charging the 0.2% fee. It's going to them, as they are the ones that are paying for the cost of sending the transactions on both chains. The idea is that in the future, anybody could run this, and they could benefit from being a service provider, providing the service of being a federated oracle. On the other side, we have the new tokens that are the representation of the token that will cross from the other chain. So the ones that you will have that have an E or an R. And even though they are ERC20 compatible, they are actually ERC 777. This was decided because a lot of people lost their funds sending ERC20 contracts, ERC20 tokens to a contract that wasn't approved before and wasn't being called using transfer from. A lot of people lost many tokens doing this. So ERC77 is a standard that prevents this from happening and also adds new possibilities. So the mirror tokens, they will always have there will always be the same amount of circulating supply of mirror tokens as they are locked on the bridge on the other network to keep the balance. Other than that, they use the same ticket but with an R on an E, and as ERC tokens is a common standard, you don't need much more than that. In the last upgrade, we also made it ERC 677 compatible. This was needed for chaining to work on RSK. So they now support the three standards, ERC 77, ERC 677, and ERC 20. All of the code from the token bridge is open source. This code is in a public repository on GitHub, and I will give you the links when I send the presentation. You can check that out. Okay, so the next part is what can I do with my tokens once I cross them. So let's check our Nifty wallet. I have already received the 100 DAI. Sorry for touching that. Okay, I have already have the 100 DAI that I crossed in 5 minutes. Remember that for mainnet that will be 1 hour. And from Ethereum to RSK is a bit faster than from RSK to Ethereum. That's because Ethereum block time is about 15 seconds, while RSK block time is about 30 seconds. So if you see that bridging from Ethereum to Rsk is a bit faster, it's because of that. It's because in the end, what we're waiting is not time, but a certain block of numbers, which is 120. Okay, so I'm gonna be closing this. And we are on, sorry. Okay, so we are on Rsk. The first thing that we're gonna need is some gas to move around. And on testnet, the way to do that is, using the faucet. So visit faucet.rsk.co, just paste your address, add the CAPTCHA, and get some RBTC, and you're good to go. Oh, that was reload the CAPTCHA. Sorry. Okay, I won't do this now, but feel free to do it. I already have some RBTC and I want to move a bit faster, so I will let you use the capture, use the faucet, but it works correctly. Also, you will want to get some tokens, so you can use the Riff testnet faucet in order to get some Riffs. In this case, you will need previously to have RBTC. You will send a transaction to the faucet, and you will get some T-Riffs. You can have to add this to your Nifty wallet if you want to see it, or you can just type, Riff, and you will find this. This is the T-Riff token. I have a bunch of them from previously, so I'll just keep going a bit. So, what can I do? Well, on Rsk, we have Rsk Swap that allows us to change our tokens in a really fast, easy way. I'm really happy with this. I just wanted to show the landing page because RskSwap.com, most people don't read the docs, but there's a lot of information there. So if you want to get more information about it or how it works or whatever, you can read the docs. Otherwise, just launch the app and we'll go through that. So let me check 1 second. Okay, let's do an introduction about it, and then I'll use the application. So, what is Rsk Swap? It's a decentralized exchange, as it's ruled by smart contracts, doesn't have any authority or person who can actually change it or modify it or whatnot. It's an automatic market maker. So instead of using an order book and swapping tokens between users, there are users who put the tokens in the liquidity pools. And then when a user wants to swap it, he just goes and swap it against the liquidity pool. So it's automatic for that user. The other amazing thing that Rsk Swap is that the price is made automatically by a mathematical formula. So it doesn't need intervention from, people saying how high or low the price is. This is a fork from Uniswap v2 adapted to Rsk network. So all of the contracts have been audited and tested by the DeFi community on Ethereum, so it's pretty solid. It is open source, and there's a charge of 0.3 that is going to the liquidity providers. So let's see the app a bit, and then we'll talk a bit more. The swaps are really simple. The only thing that you need to do is to have tokens and select what you want. So for example, let's say I want to obtain the DOC token. So I have a bit of RBTC, so I want to trade it. So the first thing that you're gonna do is you can select the amount that you want to put, or you can select what's the amount that you want out, and it will automatically calculate the amount that you need. You will also see that the price, you can check it on different ways, the amount of DOC that you need per RBTC or the other way around. and you will see a few other things. The price impact is the most important. Uniswap is an automatic liquidity provider. What it does is the more you take from the pool, the higher the price is. So the price impact will go up a lot. So for example, if I was trading 0.001, I will obtain 3.49 EOCs. But now I will be obtaining let's say with the price in the bottom, as it may be clear. So the price here is 3,491 EOCs per RBTC. But if I want to trade a bigger amount, I'll get 3,235. If I go even higher, the price will be worse. So the bigger the amount of tokens that I take away from the pool, the biggest the price impact is. Now, the price impact depends on the amount of tokens that are on the liquidity pool. This may seem a little low at first, but we'll go on this later on. I just wanted to say that if you try to swap big amounts, you will see a price impact and you will get a really bad price. But if you move small amounts, you will see that the price is fair. So we also have the liquidity provider fee that we already mentioned, and a minimum received. What is this? Well, as you send the transaction into a block, it may happen that between the time that you hit the swap button and it get mined, and other transactions went first, and the price is not exactly the same as you saw in the platform. So what Rsk Swap does is it tells you that it will leave you at least, it will be at least 5% of the amount that you said. And if it passes that threshold, it will revert the transaction and will give you back your tokens to keep you safe. So let's swap some tokens. So I think I already have the OC in this account. Yep, so let's 343. Okay, so I have 1,010 EOC, and after the swap I will have 1,013. So the first time that you do this, you won't see the swap button directly, but first you will have to approve the tokens in order to perform the swap. So don't be surprised if you see an approval button, and then you can do the swap. But the approve is just made once. So the next time that you swap those tokens against the Rsk Swap, you won't need. That's why I only see the swap button. So those are 30 seconds that I have to wait. Also, I forgot to say this, the URL for testnet and mainnet for Rsk Swap is the same. So it depends on which network you are connected in your wallet. So be sure to be on testnet if you're wanting to work with testnet, or on mainnet if you're wanting to work with mainnet. In mainnet, you won't see this testnet session. So be aware of that. Okay, so the transaction was mine, and let's check. Now I have, well, yeah, it's a bit more because I had some decimals previously, but yeah, I have 1,014 EOCs. So as you can see, the swaps are really easy. And the other thing that you can do is be a liquidity provider. So I mentioned the pools previously. So we're going to show how to join or create a pool. So let's say I want to join another pool. There are a bunch of them. You can create a pool with any kind of token that you want. So we're gonna use, let's do something with DAI. RBTC Archive DAI, for example. So this doesn't exist currently. So I'm the first one creating this pool. And the first person that adds liquidity to the pool is the one that sets up the price. So I'm not sure how much is the BTC right now. So BTC to DAI. So it's at 10,663. I don't have that amount, so let's reduce it a bit. I want to be 10,673. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna provide 0.001 RBTC and 10.673 dice into the pool. I supply this. I'm gonna be requested to sign a couple of confirmations. It's gonna mine the transaction, and then what it's gonna do is gonna create a new pair for these tokens with the liquidity of the 0.01 RBTC and the 10.673 dice. And people will be able to sign RBTC Archive DAI directly now. Something that I didn't mention before is that Is Rsk Swap allows you to trade between different pairs. So if you wanna get, I don't know, DAI, but there isn't an RBTC DAI pair, but there is an RBTC RIF pair and then a RIF DAI pair, Rsk Swap will automatically hop between them, and it will transfer, it will swap first on the RBTC RIF pair and then on the RIF DAI pair. Okay, so still pending. I'm gonna show you guys that. Okay, I have added the liquidity now. Okay, once you have a reject, it shows you your position. It gives you an IRC20 tokens that represent this pair. That is your position, and then you can see the amount of RBTC and DAI that are on the liquidity pool. And you can see it now in your liquidity list here. See, and you have your pool share and your pool tokens. This is the ERC20 token that is assigned by Rsk Swap to you that represents your share on the pool. You can add more liquidity whenever you want. The next time I add it, for example, you will see that the price is automatically calculated and I cannot change this. That's because the first person that adds liquidity is the one that's going to set up the price, and then the price is going to be added, calculated automatically because of the swaps. And if you add liquidity, you add to the current price. So if you see that the price is low or whatever, don't add liquidity, first swap it and do arbitrage, and then once the price is correct, then add liquidity. That's also important. So I can add more liquidity or I can remove it. The first question that everybody does is, okay, if I'm a liquidity, what do I earn by being a liquidity provider? So the 0.3% that we mentioned before is it goes to the liquidity pool. So you earn, according to your pool tokens, that will be your pool share, those extra tokens that come from the fee. So as people swap, I will be getting more and more tokens because of the commissions. So I will be earning money with that. And when I want to cash out that, what I have to do is remove my liquidity from there. So it's like the fees are always reinvesting themselves, and you have to remove it if you want to get that money out. Another thing that is important is that take into account that if you add liquidity and then comes someone else that has a lot of liquidity, your pool share will go down because the other person who had a lot more of liquidity will have a bigger share of the pool and when you remove it, you are earning a percentage of what is currently on the pool. Okay, so let's try to do. This is what I mean about the hubs. You see that there is no RBTC RCOP USD directly, but there is a pool between EOC and through USD, and there's a pool between RBTC and DOC. So the platform allows me to swap it by going through other pools first. And that's more or less how it works. Let's see a bit more of the mechanics on how Rsk Swap does this. Okay, so I mentioned previously the liquidity provider, and you saw how to add liquidity. What internally does is that there's an Rsk Swap pool that has the reserves of both tokens and are being logged in that contract. And the percentage that you see is the liquidity shares that are actually pool tokens. So when I add the liquidity, what you saw, that was that 0.1, that were the liquidity pool shares. And on the other side, you have the trader that does the swap. So the swap goes against the reserves on the pool. That's why when I try to move big amounts, the pressure that I was making on the pool was sending the price way up. And we'll see that on the next slide. But I want you to understand that there's one contract for each pair of tokens that is called a pool. And the pool has logged the tokens A and B, and each time a person does a swap, it changes the tokens from A to B or from B to A, depending, and it receives that. And it's also adding a 0.03% fee that goes back to this pool. And the liquidity provider that has the shares, his earnings are the percentage of the shares, the percentage of the shares that he has over the reserves of the liquidity. Okay, so I have talked a lot about the prices and how everything is calculated automatically, but you probably want to know how. So what the math formula that Rsk Swap is using is the X times Y equals K. That's a constant. And that's being used to define the price curve that you have. That means that the total reserve of token A times the total reserve of token B has to equal a constant. So when I move tokens, when I try to exchange tokens that are from X to receive tokens, I'm sorry, token A, which will be X, to receive tokens B, which are Y, I have to keep the same constant, and they give you this curve, and this will show how the price will be changing. And the more I take tokens, the bigger the price will be. So if I exchange just a few tokens, I will be in this green zone, that it will be the low slippage zone, and the price won't be modified as much. But if I try to move a large amount of tokens, the price will be higher, and the percentages of the slippage will be higher as well. So that's how it calculates and the price. And once the swap is done, what it does is it takes the new amount of tokens A and the new amount of tokens B, and the new K will be the next price. So I'm sorry, in UK, no, the K was X times Y. This is the division between tokens A and token B will give us the new price. So as you can see, it does not just the 3 tokens that were being swapped, but also it adds the 0.03% fee to the tokens. And when returning just 1 token, B, right? So as you can see, you will be earning tokens on each swap if you're a liquidity provider. And that's how the swap works. And the price curve defined is the one that just makes everything, gives sense to everything. Now you may say, okay, that's calculated like that, but what happens if the price of the token A just goes sky high? How does Rsk Swap knows about it? The answer is it doesn't. What it does is it expects from people to do arbitrage. That means people will see that the price is low compared to on other sites, and they will buy because that's human nature. I want to make a profit, and if I see that something is cheaper on the other side, I will buy it on that side and sell it on the other. And vice versa. If I say that the price is high, I will buy it on the place that what is cheaper and sell it what is higher. And that's how the price gets to be the same as in the rest of the other exchanges. So, okay. Until now, everything sounds like a charm, but there are a couple of things that to take into account. The first one is that you cannot make large amount swaps if there are only a few tokens in the liquidity pool. And this goes because there's a low slippage ratio that is at least 100 to 1. So you need to have at least 100 tokens on the liquidity pool to get one. To get one without affecting the price, you know, to get a good deal. So for small users and people who want to occasionally trade the tokens, for example, I don't know, I want to pay a chain link oracle and I need the 1 link token, but it's just the one time trade. It's not a bad deal. But if you want to trade like a really big amount of Bitcoins, you're probably not gonna exchange it, all of them, on Rsk Swap. The thing is, well, I know that I'm saying 100 to 1, but the most, as this platform is more used, the more people will be adding liquidity to the pools and the bigger will be the pools, so it will be easier to swap big amounts in the future. But again, I'm saying big amounts, but there are, I mean, not so small amounts. The truth is that even on centralized exchanges, big amounts are not usually sold to the public. You know, whales use off-the-counter. So they sell off the counter, so they usually sell the price directly to the exchange or the other entity. And that's when you see that the price just moves way too high with almost no transactions. That won't happen on Rsk Swap because it's a centralized exchange and doesn't have that kind of the counter system. Okay, and the other thing that's important is that you can suffer from impermanent loss. Yeah, it's a really weird name, saying permanent loss, but the thing is you're always earning more tokens than the ones that you started, but those tokens may not be the same value as they were when you put them. So let's say you had 2 stable coins, right? I had DAI and EOC on the other side. So I have DAI and dollar on chain, both tokens on the liquidity pool. Now I know that those are 2 stable coins, so every swap that they made, I will be winning at the 0.03% of interest. So I'm pretty sure that every swap that is made, I'm winning money. But let's say I'm swapping BTC on RSK and DAI, right? Okay, so people start swapping and the price of BTC goes up a lot. So probably as the price goes up, more people will be trading from RBTC to DAI than the other way around until the price is even. So what happened there? I will be on my liquidity pool, end up having more DAIs than I have RBTC at the beginning. So what will happen there is that if I had hold the RBTCs instead of putting them in a liquidity pool, I would end up earning more money in that way than adding them to the liquidity pool. But why is this called impermanent loss? Suppose that after that, there is the price of BTC goes down abruptly. So once again, people swap DAI for RBTC, but on the other way around this time. So then I get a profit out of it because every time they swap the tokens, I have been earning more tokens, and now the price of RBTC has gone to previous values. And so I'm actually making a better profit than I had if I had hold them. That's why it's called impermanent loss, because it depends on the amount of time that you have hold them and the amount of swap that people have done. Because it's not a real loss if you let them stay on the liquidity pool. The actual loss will happen if you withdraw them. Well, it's the same as if you hold them, right? If you hold it and you buy it cheap, and then I know the price goes way down, and you sell them, you're still losing. But if you hold it when you buy it cheap, it goes down. The price goes down, and then it goes back up, and it's even more than what you bought it, and then you sell, then you have a win. So with all of these tokens, you don't actually win money until you move it to another kind, to a stable coin or another kind of asset that is not as volatile. That's why it's called impermanent loss, because you don't lost it. The economical value varies a lot, but you have more quantity of it each time. I know that may not be the best explanation for this. I recommend you to read through the docs of Rsk Swap in the overview, the core and the advanced topics. In both of them, in the three of them, they are explained way better and with images, so I recommend you to read that. So we talk about the bad. Let's talk about the new things that it brings. So Rsk Swap brings a lot of new opportunities to Rsk. The first one is arbitrage. You know, wherever there is a new exchange, there is the possibility to make arbitrage. That is to earn profits because of the different price between different exchanges. So you can swap tokens on Rsk Swap that may be cheaper, and then cross into Ethereum and obtain a profit from that. And also, it allows to easy swap for users. As you saw, it was almost instantly. I mean, you have to wait for the transaction to get mined, but that's pretty fast compared to other exchanges. Because you don't have to wait for other person to be selling to put a sell order or a buy order. Also, we saw the opportunities for becoming a liquidity provider and tokens. And also, new tokens can be listed painlessly. You know, if you want to list your token on an exchange, what will happen to you is that they're gonna ask you for a lot of money, and you need to sign a lot of papers. So if you want to be listed on Rsk Swap, the only thing that you need to do is prove that your contracts have been audited, that the community is talking about you, and that you are not a scam, and send the logo. And that's pretty much it. And even if you don't get listed on Rsk Swap directly, you can still use the smart contracts for Rsk Swap and create your own UI. And that way you can create a liquidity pool for your token and how to say it, and allow them to swap your token. So it's a very powerful tool, especially for new tokens or tokens that are still on an early age. And well, it also allows to have new investment apps. For example, DeFi app. DeFi app is on Ethereum. It's not currently on Rsk, but what it does is it says, okay, it makes you a portfolio according your expectations what's going to happen. So if you think that the BTC price is gonna stay at the same levels, then it's a good idea to put money on the as a liquidity provider. If you think that the Bitcoin in Rsk is gonna go up, maybe it's better to ask for a loan against a stablecoin and put that stablecoin on the liquidity pool, and then you get the interest from being a liquidity provider, the fees from being a liquidity provider, and you also hold waiting for the price of BTC to go up. Now, currently there is not a borrowing and lending solution on Rsk, but there are a couple of solutions that will be ready in the next few months. So that's super important. As you may know, the heart of DeFi solutions are a stablecoin, a decentralized exchange, and borrowing and lending solution. So we're very happy with that, because we think that the DeFi ecosystem will bloom on Rsk on the next few months. Okay, so I have talked a lot and I haven't let you ask any questions. So I think this is the moment for you to ask whatever you want.
No questions.
Yeah, feels like apparently I have talked too much. Okay, so we will be providing the link of the slides on Slack later on, and also the recording of this webinar, in case you want to go over it again. So I think this is it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pedro. Are there any final kind of thoughts, comments that everyone can take away based on your experience on this particular workshop?
Yeah, sure. So I think it's a good idea to start using this kind of thing on testnet. I mean, there are a lot of possibilities using the bridges. And I see that the gas price on Ethereum is a major problem. So I expect to expect some, not all of the things that are on Ethereum to migrate to other chains. And I think that Rsk has a great potential. So I expect to start to see some movement from Ethereum to Rsk, looking for the lower prices. Besides that, Rsk has a bit more potential, I think, than other blockchains because of the bridge with Bitcoin and the 51% mining power of the Bitcoin network. So I would keep an eye on that and start thinking about, taking some features that already exist in Ethereum and moving that to RSK, as it will be, we will start to move soon. So, and there are a lot of things that are missing. So I think that with not too much of a hassle, you can, port something that already exists on Ethereum and add it to RSK and add a lot of value.
Yeah, no, you're completely right, Pedro. I mean, we're starting to see that transition already. Projects are moving to other chains, and that will continue if the fee continue to rise on Ethereum. So we have a couple of questions. Let's start off with Yamila. If you could unmute yourself, Yamila, and fire away with a question.
I think she's...
Oh, sorry, Maxi. Sorry, yes. Maxi, are you still here? Yes, Maxi is here. If you could, Pedro, if you could just make sure that the security setting allows everyone to unmute themselves.
Give me a second.
We can unmute ourselves.
Oh, perfect. Excellent. Yep. So, Maxi, do you have a question? Okay, so Maxi has a question on the chat there.
Okay. Who works in one?
Maxi, here we go. Maxi is here. So probably best to kind of voice your question.
Okay, I wanted to ask if pulse works in one direction, right? So if I add liquidity to a pool, the earnings, fee earnings is going to the first token. Is that right?
Actually, they work in both ways. So if you go from token A to token B, you will be receiving fees from token A. But when you swap from token B to token A, you will be receiving the fees from the token B. So it works in both ways, and in both transactions, you are receiving the fees.
Okay, but great. So I will earn fees in both tokens, and but in every transaction, the fee goes to the first token. Is that okay?
No, it goes to the...
Or goes to the pool in the pool tokens.
It goes to the pool in the pool tokens. So, for example, let's say I have DAI and Bitcoin on RSK. So if I swap DAI for Bitcoin RSK, I will be adding to the liquidity pool the fees in DAIs, because it's the token that I'm swapping, right? But then I want to buy DAI using Bitcoin on RSK. So it will be the other way around, right? In that case, as I'm exchanging Bitcoin on RSK for DAI, I will be adding to the liquidity pools the fees in Bitcoins on RSK. So I'm not sure if that makes you clear, but you will be earning on both tokens on the liquidity pool.
Yeah, clear enough. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Maxi. I saw that we have a question from Geronimo Ferrer.
Yes, we do.
Okay, if RSK gets used as ETH network, fees will skyrocket or still will be cheap? Okay, so the amount of transactions per block that RSK has is bigger. So allegedly it could support like 2 or 3 times the amount of movement that Ethereum has. So it will still be cheap. There are a couple of RSK IPs that they are trying to use compression inside the block header to make it smaller. So if they work that out, they will increase the amount of transactions that they allow in the block. So I'm not sure if that answers the questions. To round it up, they will still be lower than Ethereum. There is a threshold that if you pass it, it will start, being expensive, but that threshold is way higher than the currently that Ethereum has. The difference is that Ethereum is trying to solve that with, Ethereum 2.0. So they went from a different approach in how to solve the issue of the amount of transactions that you can have in a block.
Right, everybody. Do we have any more questions? I'm guessing not. So just want to say a big thank you from everyone, Pedro. It's been a great workshop. I'm sure quite a few people will follow up with you on Slack. So Pedro will be sharing the other slides on Slack shortly. And in the next few days, Brendan will share the recorded version of this webinar. Hopefully everyone learned a lot today. It was fairly good, very informative. And I just want to say that if anyone is working on a project and they want to port their project from, let's say, Ethereum to RSK, it can be done. And there's a team waiting at IOV who is more than happy to show you how to do that. So please do reach out to us on Slack. Yeah, I just want to say one last time, thank you very much, Pedro. And take care, everyone. Take care.
Bye. Take care. Thanks again, Antonio.
Thank you. I think you have to end it from your side, Pedro.
Yeah, sorry.
Because you're the host now.